and Sony Music was looking for someone specifically to work on the boy band One Direction.
Oh yeah, I remember.
They were huge in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're welcome. No.
Oh, it was all thanks to you. Okay.
So I moved to Japan 15 years ago. I was an English teacher at GABA for 1 year. And that was after I studied Japanese in university. So when I graduated, it was 2008, the year of the Lehman shock. And I wasn't really having luck with my job hunt in America. And I thought, I'll just delay that. I'll move to Japan. I'll teach English for a year or two, and then I'll figure it out. But after 1 year, I started looking for other jobs because I really wanted a chance to use Japanese. I was like, I moved all the way to Japan. I'm speaking in remedial English every day with a bunch of 55-year-old Japanese men in a one-on-one lesson at GABA. That can't be how this ends. So I applied for every job I could find, from recruiters to consulting places, and I didn't have any experience. And the interviews didn't go well, but one company, Kyoto Tokyo, which is a concert promoter, so they do live events, mostly entertainment, I got the job. I got the job there. That's the only one I got. But it was also my first choice because I was like, wow, that would be so cool to work on concerts in Japan. So I worked there for 2.5 years, and I did tours of artists like Cyndi Lauper and Earth, Wind and Fire,
Whoa.
Michael Bolton, Kenny G, and then also younger artists, but a lot of sort of legacy artists at venues like Orchard Hall. And yeah, it was great. And I loved it so much. And mostly because until that job, I was a very sort of over-serious person and a student. And I had studied a lot and I had really overthought pretty much everything. But when you're in the entertainment industry, what you realize is the most successful people are definitely not the smartest. They're just often hustlers that kind of fell into some luck when their best friend got famous. Or, it's really, there's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of hits that come out of nowhere. And it was just really interesting for me to work in this fun environment that you can't study the music industry. You can't get a master. I mean, you could, but it would be useless, get a master's in music management. You just have to do it. And that was so against what I had done until that moment, where I was always preparing, but never actually doing anything. And to be thrown into that sort of live, chaotic environment, it kind of, it flipped something in my brain. And I loved it. But I did leave that job because you work a lot when you do events, at the end of the concert, then you have to clean up for however many hours. You have to take people out to eat. It's long days. So I got a little burnt out and I left. And then someone I knew through that job was working at Sony Music, and Sony Music was looking for someone specifically to work on the boy band One Direction. I don't know if people remember them from probably 10 years ago now.
Oh yeah, I remember.
They were huge in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're welcome. No.
Oh, it was all thanks to you. Okay.
Well, so part of that was like, oh, here's a boy band coming. Japan loves a boy band. And so, Sony Music is the record label. They put out the music, but there's a lot of ways you can make money from music that isn't selling music. You can do merchandise. Mm-hmm. You can do endorsements. You can do sponsorships. You can do a fan club. But those are not rights that a record label has. Those rights
really?
Belong to the artist management, or they belong to the merchandising company that handles things globally. So it's actually a lot of negotiation to get any type of business outside of that recorded music function. So that's what I was working on. So that if it does go well, we'll have all our bases covered and we can make merchandise or do retail licensing or cast them in a commercial, which we did in a Docomo commercial for 3 quarters, Sankuru.
Wow.
Yeah, it was huge. It was so interesting. And it was, again, just the greatest job. I'm on the phone to One Direction's entertainment lawyer, completely unqualified. and at that point, their entertainment lawyer is probably the best in the world at being an entertainment lawyer. So it was really exciting. I learned so much. And I stayed at Sony for 6 years. I worked on a lot of different projects. That was my in, but then I stayed and I worked on a huge variety of projects and I learned so much. I'm just going to keep going.